It's me, Renee. I'm back. And today I have a review for you guys. As you can see, why I said that. All about books that defy category. Books that are more than one thing. Not that there's anything wrong with a book being completely in a category. That a book is completely a romance, completely a mystery. Those are cool. But honestly, I also love when books are there are several categories in one, several genres in one, or they're doing something that the genre hasn't done at all. So yeah, I suppose these books are in one of two categories. Either they're more than one thing, or they do something that I at least haven't seen before. I mean, again, who's to say that it's the first person doing that? I can't tell because sadly I haven't read all the books in the world. That would be weird. Uh, but in my experience, for me, these are the first books that do these things. But I just want to double check something. No, okay. Yeah, let's get to the books. And yeah, as usual, this lipstick is cool, but it might sometimes it goes on my teeth. You don't mind, do you? No, you don't. So okay. So first we have Pride, Prejudice, and the City by Rachel Lippincott. This is a YA book with time travel and a sapphic romance. And I'm not gonna say much more than just to mention that the time travel in this book is. I quite like how it's kind of unique, at least in my mind. Like for a long time you don't get that much, and then in the end you get much more information about it, and it's like, oh, so cool. And honestly, like right now it's a standalone. I kind of think it would be fun to have more books in this series, like in this universe. It doesn't have to be a series, but like more with like within this realm would be very fun because yeah, this type of my time rule is just so fun. And yeah, it's a book that makes you laugh and cry and feel all the feels, which is always great. Then we have Geek Girl by Holly Smale. Now, I was recommended this back in the day by Derek Landy, who wrote Skullduggery Pleasant, writes. And he said, like, if he had written contemporary, this would be it. And I actually went on this bandwagon from the first book was published. So yeah, I was there from the start. I have seen everything. But yeah. Um and this book, yes, it made me laugh, which kind of was what I expected because Dirk Landy recommended it. But it also makes me cry so much. It toys with my emotions. And honestly, for me at least, I would say it's actually one of the first books where I read where main character gets bullied so much that I cry, which sadly happened to me in the past. So I really related to that so much. I mean, there's been books where main characters are bullied, but honestly, I kind of feel like it's not that often in books. I feel like it's more in movies, and also so much of that they cry. It's not that often, and yeah, this if you need a good cry, pick up this book because sometimes you do need a good cry, at least in my mind. Then we have Out of the Blue by Jason June. This book uh, does something incredible, at least in my mind. At times, it's very light-hearted and very laid back and very nice. And then, boom! Suddenly, it's all about like, what does the world mean? What does life mean? All these big philosophical questions. So yeah, it's two completely different books in one, which I suppose you might think, well, can such two different opposites exist in one book? I suppose sometimes you think that wouldn't work, but in this book it works amazingly. Jason June writes perfectly. You will not regret picking up this book. It is amazing. Amazing. Then we have The Benevolent Society of Ill-Mannered Ladies, which again, it's a historical book, but wouldn't really say, at least I wouldn't really call this first book a historical romance. it has romance in it, but it's not. I wouldn't say that's the main thing, really. It's kind of more a bit like two spinsters, old woman, they're in the 40s, fighting in the patriarchy. Kind of, I would say, honestly, in a bit of like a leverage style. They're finding loopholes and stuff, and they're saving people from the patriarchy and idiots. Well, idiots. I mean, villains, but idiots in a grand scale. And honestly, I quite like how this one. It's funny. It's historical. I would say maybe it's a bit rompy, though also important. Like touches on important topics. But at the same time, it's also not really that romantic. And I feel like for me in the past, I feel like often historical books were either about wars and important people doing important stuff, or it was people falling in love. And this is kind of neither of those. I mean, yes, it's an important book, but it's kind of, I feel like, in a bit space in between there, those two. And yeah, I just love this so much. I suppose, well, we're wrong. I was about to say maybe a bit like Monty Python in book form. It's not that. But yeah, it is. Yeah, it's different than most things, I would claim. Then we have Confessions of a Lady, which at first glance maybe looks quite generic. It's a historical romance, but it's a historical romance between the servant and a lord, which honestly doesn't really happen that much in books. Okay, sorry, now I'm talking out of my behind. I haven't read all the historical romances in the world. But like the ones that I've kind of lately, at least the ones that I've encountered lately, are often between a lord and a lady, between a lord and uh, a viscount or viscountess, or they're um, between a lady and a merchant. Here, it's class different. Also, and yeah, it's told between two point of view, but also the woman, Penny. At the beginning of the book, she can't read. Not because she's stupid, has dyslexia, simply because she's a servant. In those days, servant could not read. Well, I suppose she knows a few letters, but like she can write her own name. That's it. Uh, and even though she can't read, I mean, she's not stupid. She just hasn't had the opportunity to learn to read. And honestly, to me, that was kind of refreshing. I feel like all the books, honestly, in my mind, that I've encountered in circles, every single character, oh, like even the poorest, knows how to read. And it's like, cool, but like, probably the reality would be that some people couldn't read until they were older. Maybe some people couldn't read at all because life. And then some people find love, and that love also gives an opportunity to learn. And yeah, great book. Then we have The Dukes Gets Desperate by Diana Quincy. This is a Palestinian American falling in love in historical England. And yeah, it's quite fun, really. I mean, some people talk about how Palestine doesn't exist. Palestine is a construction, which yes, it exists, and was supposed to be. Everything is a construction in a way. I mean, every country is like we just kind of agree that that's how it is. It's at one point there wasn't, and now it is. But yeah. Anyway, um, but this is historical Palestine, which I mean, reaffirms. I mean, it's historical romance. It's not non-fiction, but still, I feel like this is quite a great book to have in today's climate. That Palestinians have been here for a long time. They're nothing new at all. Then we have Never Duke Well, which historical romance. Yes, that's a lot of those. But the Lord in this one is from New Orleans, which is quite fun. Like how could an American be a lord? Because his dad was British, was a lord, and his dad didn't have more kids, or didn't have more kids with a wife, so American lord. And yeah, it's just so fun, and I love it so much. Then we have Her Night at the Museum, which just from the cover and from the title you might think this seems standard. Maybe it's just a guy who's chivalrous. Maybe it's a guy who's time traveled. No, it's a guy who was turned into a statue. He's been a statue for not thousands, hundreds of years. He ends up in this museum, and through a circumstance, he turns back into a man. So, yeah, it's romance between a cursed man and a woman from modern day. And it's just very funny, very spicy, and also great love story. I love it so much. So much. It's amazing. And yeah, then we have the road guide latest road guide to Utter Ruin, which is the second book uh, in this series, Benevolent Society of Ill-Mannered Ladies. This one has more romance in it, but also very good also, and yeah, so good. Then we have, for some reason I just have two of the books here, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, to illustrate this series, we have The Snow Queen's Shadow and The Red Hood's Revenge. This is Jim C. Hines' long finished fairy tale retelling series for adults, because it's quite torturous at times. They talk about graphic stuff at times, so it's not a kid's book at all. It is for adults. But yeah, so it kind of, I would say it kind of looks much more about on original fairy tales than the Disneyfied ones. And yeah, I feel like even though there are some, I feel like most, honestly to me, most fairy tale retellings are YA or middle grade stories, and it's quite fun to read them for adults. So yeah. Hmm. Sorry. And then see, always a good idea. And then we have Role Playing by Kathy Yaldi. This is a book where the guy is bisexual, which doesn't really happen that often in books. It happens often in life, but not often in books. And he's also demisexual, which he doesn't really realize until the things happening in the book. But he realizes, yes, I am demisexual. And yeah, this love story between people in the 40s and 50s is just so great. Two nerds falling in love, and yeah, it's the best book in the world. No, not in the world, but one of them. Say one of them, actually. An Extraordinary Union by Alyssa Cole. This was actually one of my first historical romances. This is a historical romance, all with spies. So that's not really something I feel like happens a lot. Well, it happens sometimes, but yeah, with spies. But it's set in the Civil War in the U.S. So that's quite fun. I feel like all the historical romance books are set in UK. This is set, oh, Scotland. This is set in US. So that's quite fun. Also, the main characters are all African Americans, and yeah, fighting for their rights. And yeah, it's just an amazing trilogy. And this is the first book in that trilogy. Highly recommend it. Right now, they have different covers of these books, but you can still find them online and find them places. And yeah, quite a fun really start, at least for me, to my journey of reading historical romances. I would say, I mean, but this is honestly a bit more historical spies than romances, but it's also romance. It's spy, romance, and historical, three parts. Then we have a Norwegian book, En lykkelig slutt of Anne Louise Morseth. So this is Norway's first romance, actually. We have feel-good books, but we don't have romance books. This is a romance between two authors in the same publisher, and yeah, it's just very good book. The only thing I really have to complain about this book is the cover, which is kind of not that nice. But the book itself is amazing. And yeah, Norway's first romance. First, hopefully, of many. I know at least one more is coming out next year, so yeah. Then give me a little moment. There we go there. Yep. Then we have The Undomestic Goddess by Sophie Kinsella. This is not a new book at all. Not that all these new books are new, but yeah. This book just talks about the capitalism and working life, and yeah, it's also very funny, but also takes a good look at capitalism, and I just love it and makes you really think about work life balance, things like that, and it's amazing in my mind, in my humble opinion. And then we have Things a Bright Girl Can Do by Sally Nichols, a YA book all about the suffragettes, which I feel like it's not really talked about that much in non-fiction. In fiction, it's probably talked about in non-fiction. In fiction, not that often, and not with young adult books. And also, this book has people from the different classes in England. It's a rich woman, it's a middle class woman, it's a poor woman. I love that you see it from all different sides, and it's just so good. And then we have Red, White, and Royal Blue. One of my first romances that I read. Well, I suppose I read some romances as a teen, like one of the romances I read as an adult. But also the first romance between the kid of a president and a kid of a king or queen. So yeah, you have royal romances, but you seldom have them between royal romances and son of a leader of another country. And also, it's just done so perfectly in this book. If you have not read this book, firstly, what are you doing with your life? Secondly, pick it up. I know. Some people actually feel like this book is too cheesy and too unrealistic. For me, it was just amazing. I love it so much. So, yeah. And that's my pile of books that I highly recommend, that defy caricature or are the first for me. I don't know, I put it two fingers. Anyway, yeah. Have you read any of these? Do you have a book that you feel like defies characterization? Talk to me in the comments. Bye.